This is Arc Analysis.
Aventus.
This guy. This fucking guy.
Yeah, you know how I feel about this specific arc analysis. This is definitely a
Yeah.
special one.
This is a special one. Every once in a while we have a real big one. Pause. And
Don't pause. Don't pause.
every once in a while we get a real big one.
Yeah.
But I think it's been a little while since we've had one.
We both have our own big ones, and we leisurely.
We compare.
We don't take it there. Why? He's trying to give us both shine separately. We're like,
We
no,
give
you had
each
to put
other
it together. No,
we give each other shines.
no, you
get-
don't get your shine box. Don't get
You
your
get
shine
that
box.
thing. You get that thing all down.
Look, listen, we're going
Hold on,
off
that- yeah,
a
that clip.
crazy tangent. If I don't edit this, then it's all staying in, which is unfortunate because we're all gonna stay in. Anyway.
That clip though at the barbershop, the guy's cutting his hair. He's
Oh,
like, "You get that thing all down." He goes,
Like,
"Oh,
yo, why you
damn."
keep saying that? Yo, why
Yeah.
you keep saying it like that? Yeah.
Yeah, so why are you always here with this homosexual rigmarole? It's one of my favorite clips. They just come here. He's like, "All right, you want me to get you from the back?"
Oh my god.
Travis, take my fucking.
Some of that will stay in.
Yeah, for sure. Spider-Man Life Story, Marvel Comics 2019, written by Chip Zdarsky, drawn by Mark Bagley. Bagley?
How do you want to say it?
Dank has his hand up.
How do you want
for
to say
those who
Bagley or
can't-
Bagley? Yeah.
Bagley.
We don't do Spider-Man a lot.
No, that's kind of why I put this in here. I was looking up like Spider-Man stories. By the way, this is the first time either one of us has read this, right? So
Which is also first. Usually one of us is like, I want to go back to this story.
yeah.
Nope.
So I just grabbed the Spider-Man story because we haven't done one in a while. There's two characters we don't do. Well, there's more than two, but two of them that like are shockingly absent is Spider-Man lately and Iron Man. We haven't done any of them.
Yeah.
We do a whole lot of Superman though.
We only like appearances of Tony. We don't like
Yeah,
full
isn't that
Tony
weird?
stories.
Yeah.
It's not. It's funny because we almost had a parallel, but then we ended up liking Batman too much, and we just cover Batman. We
So
180
much
on our Batman takes. There's so much Batman,
That's also why we kind of hate him too, right? So
but to his credit, Batman and Spider-Man I think are the easiest books to write because
Rogues.
Rose Galleries for one point, but it's kind of paint by numbers. They're both instilled on like virtue and like I just want to save the day, and then they have
Yeah.
the confliction of like I want to be the superhero first, and everything else is white noise. For Batman, there's more cheat codes because I'm a millionaire, billionaire, and I
Yeah.
have money to throw things at this. Spider-Man is the cheat code of just put in the mind of anyone that's ever been stressed with like life and anxiety, and then add the fact that like a giant rhino has to like crash through a building, and usually they work. Usually those type of stories work. So
I think Spider-Man's more relatable to people because like you were saying, the daily struggles. Whereas Batman, I don't know if he's relatable, but he has no superpowers. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's just the guy in a costume. So that could be me if I was a billionaire, philanthropist, playboy. Spider-Man is always super attractive, especially for like the younger generations because they can relate. He's a lot of times he's in college, he's in high school. In this book, it takes him through the decades, right? Starting in the 60s, and they squish in all these different Spider-Man stories throughout. It's really, really cool format.
yeah, amazing.
Yeah, really cool idea. Actually, like I'm almost like I'd like to see this done with the same writing team on different characters because to see what they would do. But then it might not be as good because then it's kind of taken away the surprise. I don't know, but it would be interesting to see like I don't know, a Captain America like this. Although he's frozen, he'd be frozen for 2 decades. But
Which is hilarious because the world still goes on. So the smartest writer would
Yeah.
know how to deal with that. But
Yeah,
I would like this as like a Marvel series of like because my hot take was this is Spider-Man's greatest hits. So if you have a
Yeah.
Spider-Man fan, give them this and be like, okay, there's a reference point for one of their favorite Spider-Man stories in 6 issues, which is hard to do and then hard to do well. If Marvel decided to do this with all their titular characters, I think you could have a ball and
Yeah.
really kind of shake the tree loose of either you want to rebrand or just highlight all this character has been through in 60 years because we get 60 years through 6 issues.
yeah, I think Hulk would be cool too. But
Hulk would be cool. Wolverine would be cool because you don't have to start in the 60s. You can start
Yeah.
in the like 40s or something like that. You can start
can
in like,
jump-
turn of the
you can-
century. Yeah.
you can jump some big eras. But yeah, so this is the 60s to the 2010s, 20 teens. I don't know how you want to say that. But the first issue takes place specifically in 66 and 67, where Peter is in college.
Mhm.
And so him and Gwen are romance. I just wrote point form notes just February. So him and Gwen have a romance, and then we're introduced to Harry and Norman.
Hmm.
And Norman knows who he's kind of the villain for this issue. Every issue kind of has their own villain. In this one, Norman knows already who Peter is. So that high tension is always so fun. I love that.
Yes, but I liked how immediately they pull the rug under and they give us like, oh, like one of my greatest foes knows everything about me in issue
Yeah,
one. Like that's a
yeah,
great subverting of expectations because
yeah.
that's normally the trope is will they, won't they, in terms of like he kind of has an idea of who Peter is and who Spider Man is, but he doesn't really play up on this. This one, he's like immediately like they're in the bar drinking,
Mhm.
and he points to Peter to see one of his pumpkins sitting on like the bar shelf. And he's like, "Hey man, I know who you are.
Yeah,
Don't fuck around. Go to the alley." And then they have their final trade off, right? So I thought that was super interesting. And that's not even the climax of that specific issue. They even have more to add on that. So it was a great first issue.
it was, and I always love Green Goblin versus Spider-Man fights. I don't know if it's the color palettes are so opposite, plus like the superpowers. One swings, one flies,
Mm-hmm.
but they can both run too. And like one has the explosions, one has the webs. It's just opposite everything. And I love when they tangle. And this one, I was like, I love this stuff.
And they're
It's
both like mental equalists, right? Like
yes,
the
yeah,
intelligent level is so high on both of them that I love that, especially in this run, Norman always looks at him as a peer and wanted him to be an heir, which is his whole motivation. Is
yeah,
like, my son's a cook, like you should be the one. And
yeah.
this entire story was a reminder of how much I don't like Harry because he's treated like, which is kind of amazing in the writing. He's treated as such an afterthought, even though he's supposed to be the next to take the mantle. But I don't know how many parents or children can relate to being in a position where you meet a parent and they like either your friend better than you, or you're a
Yeah,
parent and you like your friends, your kid's friends better than your kid. either
yeah, yeah.
either work, and it's still kind of relatable. So
Peter's the
again,
son I never had,
yeah.
and you're the son I never wanted. He doesn't say that, but that's basically his.
That's the speech though. You
That's
should take
basically
over for
his,
me. What about your son? You should take over for me.
yeah,
It's like, all right,
yeah.
I
That's
get it.
basically his line of thinking. There's also a subplot here of the superheroes being drafted into the war.
Vietnam, yeah.
There's like this whole big moral dilemma. Peter's kind of like, should I draft myself? Because
Hmm.
Iron Man's in there, I think, at the beginning, and Cap's going to go,
Yeah.
and he's like, should I or should I stay here? Like, I don't want to.
When Flash comes back and he's like, oh, like
Yeah,
Flash made a man of himself by being over there, right? And he kind of feels less of himself, even though he's still a superhero, right? So that's why Peter's such a great character to write for. So even with all of his accomplishments as Spider Man, he still feels he's not doing enough. And this book really keeps reiterating how he's always the most powerful person in the room, but not always the smartest.
yeah.
So, like, again, great writing.
Yeah, it's cool, and him and Flash kind of bury the hatchet in this issue. But the main idea is that they're establishing conundrum of Peter, Gwen, Harry, Norman, and then on
Hmm.
top of that, there's the war in the background. This is probably out of all the issues, I would say the simplest.
Yeah.
It ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. All the issues kind of end on these weird or interesting endings. Like in this one, Cap goes to the war and realizes that
Fighting for the wrong side.
yeah, he's
Hmm.
fighting for the wrong side, and it ends with him like GI Joe type thing,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
his short shirt ripped. He's like, he's fighting against the American soldiers, and
Yeah.
you could
I,
say it's kind of like I guess it's kind of the foundation for what ends up being civil war with the Superhero Registration Act in a way.
which is a great sort of retcon if this is how
Yeah,
Civil War kind of starts. Is it started all the way back from Vietnam, where
yeah,
Tony is the type of character to be like, I remember when you picked the other side.
yeah. So it's cool. Anyway, the '60s. The second issue ends up going to 1977. So 10 or 11 years later, and
Spoiler
Peter
alert,
says, "Yeah,
Flash dies because he has the
Flash
whole
dies."
scene.
Yeah,
This book's really good about circling back. They circle back to a lot of locations and they
mm-hmm.
circle back to a lot of scenes and imagery. So the fact that we see a giant tombstone of Flash with his birth date, he's a Capricorn, but he dies, is something that ends up being something that gets circled back in later issues. I guess we'll talk about that when we get there. But I loved how it opened up with
Yeah,
Peter's regret and kind of his relationship progressing with Gwen. And they're now like really in love, but he's now revealed himself to Gwen of this is the other life I've had. This is the beginning of him kind of opening the door of I can't live two worlds successfully. I gotta let the people closest to me know who I really am.
And like you said about Flash being gone, Peter shows guilt in this from not going to the war with them,
Hmm.
right? Because it's like maybe if I was there, I could have stopped it, but I made my choice, whatever. But like you said, those are seeds for later on.
Hmm.
As far as like their social life, they've graduated college, and Peter has a job with Reed Richards,
Hmm.
and Otto Octavius is there too, and Gwen has a job with Dr. Miles Warren, who in the original run is Jackal, right? So he's the clone guy who makes all the
Nice.
clones. So they're foreshadowing a whole bunch of stuff here.
But talk about Peter not being the smartest guy in the room. He's literally in
Yeah,
laboratories with, like,
the smartest guy.
how often do you get to leave college and find essentially your dream job, but you're Spider Man. You can't really have a dream job.
Except he keeps arguing like constantly with Reed. Like him and Reed, don't have a good. They have a good working relationship, but they don't have a good like relationship within proximity of each other because they disagree on the foundations of it all goes back to the war, right? Like Reed's
Hmm.
like, if I, he's like, Peter's basically, you can go over there and stop it right now. He's like, but then I'd be giving basically the power of gods to just anybody. Like, and then what would happen? Because they can make basically with Pym particles and stuff, they can make Giant Man appear.
Yeah.
They can make a whole army of Giant Man, but then it's like,
Right.
okay, but then after the war, then what?
You just have a
Right?
giant man walking around. Yep.
They're just gonna have all this army of Giant Man. Then what's gonna happen? Global domination for one country. He's like, I'm not doing that. So that they have a constant like cycle of arguing about this.
Which makes sense because it gets paralleled to what's going on with Norman and Harry, because
Yeah,
Norman's now locked behind prison and, quote, conveniently forgets who the identity of Spider Man is,
yeah,
but he's locked away for the rest of his life and is now trying to activate his son Harry to continue with the plans. Us, the reader, don't know what the plans are, but you can see something nefarious is happening. I really love that this specific issue was called Our Father's Way, because you
yeah.
get that. You get Peter and his father influences being Reed, Octavius, and what's Jack's name? Warren?
Warren, yeah, Miles
And
Warren, yeah.
then the literal father with Harry and Norman. So this is also a fun book.
This one, yeah, this one's really good. And MJ's we're introduced to, and she's with Harry, and she lays it in
In
when
Club
Peter
54, which is awesome.
Club 54, yeah, it was a cool nod. And then so when Peter comes into the picture, he realizes that Harry's kind of a bit of a deadbeat
Yeah.
with uh, with MJ. He starts kind of inserting himself into that situation. MJ gets offended, brings back the guilt, and that triggers Harry to go ahead with what his dad wanted him to do, which was put on the Black Goblin mantle.
That's the first thing that took me out of this
Yeah, I was like,
run
what is
was
that?
that's not even Harry's color palette. Like I don't think he would choose black first. He'd be like red goblin. He'd be like a potentially white goblin, but he's already used as a sub boss to launch what the I guess ultimate storyline is of this issue, which
Yeah,
is
clones.
clones.
Yeah. So once I saw Miles Warren, I was like, they're gonna do the
Uh-oh.
clone thing. So they do bring the Clone Saga, which hit comic books in the '90s, as everybody knows, which was
Wild.
infamous because it was like it started out kind of cool
It was
and
totally Pavlov's.
quickly,
Yeah,
yeah, quickly became just really annoying.
yeah. And they didn't know what they were doing.
No, they didn't. They didn't. They're just like, let's make all these clones. And
And then let's
anyways,
decide that we're not the real one isn't the real one. So
the twist, yeah, yeah, the twist here
foreshadowing.
is that Dr. Warren, has made three clones: one for Norman,
Hmm.
one for
Peter.
Peter, and one for Gwen. Now, Norman only requested two of those, which was Peter and Norman, so
Yep.
he could have his double and he could have his heir. So when Harry sees this, he he basically blows it all up,
Yep.
and we discover that only the Peter Parker clone survives,
Hmm.
and the Gwen quote unquote clone is actually the real Gwen that Dr. Warren was like in love with, and he locked her up and left the clone Gwen out with Peter. We don't know when the swap happened,
Right.
but it's like this is getting a little too
Yeah.
too weird.
This is strike one on
Yeah.
issue 2.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then it gets kind of muddled, right? Like so while there's a twist on twist, they still have to push forward in what the progression of the story is, and it's basically like
Yes.
we're gonna send clone Gwen and
Peter and Gwen.
clone Peter off on their own journey and
Let's
Spider-Man will move
basically,
on. Yeah.
yeah, basically let's get them out of the way.
Yep.
So that's what happened. The two clones go off together to live a happily ever life. Excuse me. Peter's left with nothing.
Except from
So that's
MJ.
how he feels. That's how he feels. And MJ comforts him. So it's like, okay, now they're gonna get together.
Yeah.
This is 1978, by the way. These last few pages, and then we
Yeah.
jump to issue 3, which is 1984. So 6 years later, MJ's pregnant with twins.
Look at that. Putting in the work there,
Lot,
Pete.
yeah, yeah. It's Rocky and Rihanna.
Really got over that Gwen fast, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for us it is. For this, it's 6 years, which I guess is that enough? That's a long time. That's
For
a
a
long
clone, I don't know, man.
time.
It's different. It's not like a breakup. It's not like a death. It's like I'm a
She's-
superhero and there's a supervillain and like, my mind's fucked with. So there's another version of me running around,
Yeah.
and the version of uh my girl is not running around with him, even though like that's my girl. So like he didn't even want to fight for fake Gwen because I still love
Yeah.
fake Gwen. He's like,
Yeah.
get out of here. You're not real. It's like, bro, like
They got to move to the next issue though.
fine, but like
Convenient writing. Yeah.
if I don't like if I can't get hot fudge for my sundae, am I gonna get mad at hot caramel? No. Or I'm just gonna leave the ice cream store and be like, I don't want ice cream anymore.
That's one. You could do that.
But I mean,
You could do
MJ's
that.
there, and she's a full
caramel.
fledged. She'd be strawberry sauce.
Hot caramel.
Hot caramel. She's, I guess, a human, right? So I don't know if he's conflicted of like, can I have sex with a clone? I mean, you've been having sex with a clone.
You can. You've been having sex with a clone.
Yeah,
And
so,
basically,
like,
what's the
what's the
difference between the
problem?
clone? What is the difference? Like in this,
See?
it's like
Okay, so now you
I
know
don't
where
know.
I'm rubbed a little wrong way. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
6 years to get over it, but for me, there was no impetus, if that's the right word, that you and MJ have that type of relationship. I like that you guys have the friendship, and I like that she called your bluff, but it doesn't seem like there was any sort of attraction put there. Gwen was your girl,
Mhm.
and you lost your girl, fine. But like, there's like a B, and it's not even a B; it's like a 1A.
Yeah.
You don't want to try with
1A.
1A to be like, can we work this out?
I mean, he does. He gives her twins, so or she gives him twins. They have twins, so.
That's Mary Jane. I'm saying he could have tried it out with the clone.
Oh my bad.
He gives the clone
1A.
to his
I understand
to
now. I
his-
thought
to
MJ
his
was
clone.
the 1A.
Yeah, you just give away both the candies and candies are gone.
Yeah.
It's like I could have been happy. You could have just sent off clone Peter to be like, hey, go find a way in the world. I'm gonna take care of number 2.
Which
Right?
is weird because
So-
it eventually does happen. But anyways,
So the writing's convenient here, and we don't
Yeah,
know what's
yeah.
happening. But here's where I was like, okay, there's my strike one, and then thinking about it now, talking to you is like, it's kind of a strike too, because you
Yeah.
with twins.
the
But
twins, yeah, twin.
1984.
So this whole issue is the backbone of it is MJ and Peter have twins named Claire and Benji,
Mhm.
and Aunt May is delusional.
Yeah, she's becoming senile. Yeah, dementia's
breaking
kicking in.
down.
Yeah.
At one point, she leaves the house with the twins and gets lost.
Just wanders.
She calls MJ Gwen all the time, like she's
She's losing it.
And then when MJ mentions that maybe she should go to a home,
He
Peter
flips.
freaks out.
He
Yeah.
does not like that, which is fair. But to her credit, he's not even there. What's Spider-Man doing right now? He's off
Exactly. It's-
in, I want to say Battle World, but you said it wasn't Battle World.
Yeah, Secret Wars. Well, it's. I think they squished both Secret Wars together, but it's supposed to be because it's 1984. It's supposed to be like the 80s Secret Wars, the original one, which
Sure.
is with the Beyonder.
Yep.
And that's when he gets the black suit, and he gets the same black suit here. It's like it's a costume creator. So in the original, in the 80s Secret Wars series, they give him a black suit just to sell new toys. They want a new let's give him a new suit,
Yeah, which was amazing.
and then like I guess 10 years later, that's when Todd McFarlane makes it
Venom.
a symbiote suit,
Yeah.
a Venom thing, and
And
that
then
just took off.
Crawl, we get all the cool like backstory and like, which is fine. I don't mind that. So I didn't mind how convenient this was, but totally rushed and like totally in the middle
yes.
of. So I call this one of my favorite issues, but this is totally messy because of all the stuff that's going on. His personal life is at the peak of messiness, and I mean that in terms of you're a new father, your aunt is losing it, and your wife and like the woman of your children is trying to hold it all together, and she can't. And you decide to be like, I got new threads, and I want to go hang out with Hulk, Thor, and Reed, and go like fight on this off-world planet. So, in Spider-Man fashion, it totally is complicated, but it doesn't have to be. He's making it more complicated than it needs to be.
I was gonna say to add layers to that because you have the new arc of the twins, Claire and Benji. They're introduced in this issue, and then you have the involvement of the '80s Secret Wars. Then you also have the whole like nuclear missiles from Russia that wiped out part of the states. That was a cool thing, but we didn't really. I don't think we needed that backstory. Like, was
And then
Vision important to?
it doesn't pay off.
Yeah,
Like
it
it's
doesn't.
just that
Yeah,
isolated scene for this issue, and then they don't talk about it again. I was like,
yeah.
oh, if this is something that you're going to grow into, and there's going to be a nuclear problem with
I thought
Vision,
Vision was they're
man,
gonna come back to Vision at some point,
yes, I
but they
thought he was
never
going to.
did. But then
Nope.
also they introduced Parker Industries, which is from like some of the newer-ish run, the later runs in the 2000s and 2010s. So that's cemented now with Reed there too. Then they get the black suit imposter, which is from Craven's Last Stand. So it's Craven the
Which
Hunter
is
wearing
awesome.
the same
Yep.
black suit. That's a great story, but they incorporate that. So to your point, this book's super messy because they squeeze in like all these different stories into one.
Oh, and he dies in this one.
And he dies, just like in Craven's Last Hunt. So in
Yeah.
Craven's Last Hunt, he quote unquote dies, gets buried, comes back up, and he's wearing the black suit at the time.
Yeah.
What doesn't, and then at the end, Craven basically kills himself because he's like, I beat the spider. I'm the best hunter in the world.
Right.
In this
So
one,
nothing else to prove. Yeah.
right, and that's the original story. In this one,
Mhm.
he beats him and then just like keeps posing as him. The symbiote brings him back out of the grave, and he goes like his version of Venom in a way.
Yeah. He gets a little Brock on everybody.
Yeah, and the symbiote basically ends up going with Craven. So before Craven kills himself, like he does at the end of Craven's Last Hunt, the symbiote stops him. And it's like, oh, okay, they're gonna circle back to this, I guess, and they eventually do. But Mary Jane leaves.
Again, my favorite issue, but so many threads that
Yeah,
don't get resolved and so much fun stuff happening, but ultimately you undercut everything good in this book by doing things that just don't make sense.
yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of a theme for this run.
Because it leads to the next issue, which is 1995. So now we're in the 90s, and this was probably my favorite one because
Yeah,
it's
it makes
a
sense.
little less messy from the 80s one. The 80s one had the most interesting stories, but I think it was just too many of them.
Right?
In this one, it opens up. It becomes
It's
more,
all character development.
yeah. But this one is like Tony Stark is attempting a hostile takeover of Parker Industries after a failed
Yes.
merger. So this is like Tony in this world. Tony never really becomes the good guy. He's just constantly like, I make weapons. This is your dream.
Who's
here.
ever called that?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is your dream.
It's a perfect Tony. It's like, yeah, I like the money and I like the war. It's working
Yeah.
for me.
And also, like Aunt May's dead. Before she passed, she was in a relationship with Dr. Octopus, which does happen in the comics too.
In the comics, yep.
Yep. And so now Dr. Octopus is like, through grief for his loss, and he like leads him to kidnap both Peter and Ben Riley, who's Peter's clone. We didn't say at the beginning, but anyway, who's read the Clone Saga knows. And he locks down his experiments because he wants to reverse engineer the clone serum and try and bring May back that way.
Yep. False
Yeah,
start.
dumb.
I'm just saying dumb. Yeah, anytime I don't like a plot thread, I'm just gonna say dumb because
Yeah, go get ready to say it again because it's like while he's like examining them, he's like, wait a second, Ben Riley's the real Peter Parker and Peter Parker is the clone.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
And at the end of the issue, it's kind of like, actually, no, that was a trick. I knew I was the real. I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's sloppy. Don't do
This whole thing is not necessary because it's just turning into the Clone Saga again, where it's like maybe Ben Riley's the real. Remember that whole thing? But you remember that when we were kids? And it was like Ben Riley's the real Spider-Man. It's
Yeah,
actually,
it was cool.
and then it's like he was Peter the whole time, but actually he wasn't. It's like,
Yeah, it was
Now I don't
dumb,
know.
but it was interesting when we were
Yeah.
kids because it was like, oh, okay, cool, you have me. But then I grew up and I was like, no, you didn't have me. You guys didn't know what you wanted to do. Congrats on selling comics.
But then when Ben Riley became the Scarlet Spider, that suit was awesome with the hoodie.
That was amazing. Him separated from the whole clone saga was amazing. If you just needed a way to create another Spider-Man, there are ways of doing it, so I'm not mad at it. But to constantly bring him back in the world and then have
so
this
annoying.
crisis of, are you? Are you me? Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man. But before we knew like how to point at Spider-Man, I was like, this is dumb. And now you're making both these guys idiots because they spend more time figuring out if they're real or not, and it ultimately doesn't matter. And then if we think back to the '90s cartoons, which I love, didn't ultimately Oh, am I thinking of MJ where they turned her into a
Yeah,
Hydro
she was
girl?
the
Yeah.
clone. She was the
Oh,
clone,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
avoided
yeah.
the clone saga
As
in the
as
animated
much
series
as possible, and then
until like the whole Secret Wars thing, and they had all different Spider-Mans from different dimensions.
it's
That was
like we
as
gotta do
close
it
as they
now.
got.
Yeah,
But yo,
we gotta
MJ
do it.
was the clone. She was the water
Yeah,
clone. Yeah,
yeah. It was weird.
it was very,
that
very weird.
that jumped the shark. Do you want to talk about how randomly Jessica, which
Jones,
Jessica's
that's
name?
right. Yeah, she's in a relationship with Peter.
So okay, MJ's already left at this point,
Yeah,
right? Like this very easily could have been like Peter's living a nefarious life because he's become a titan of industry, which I would have liked.
yeah,
But he constantly has the picture of Mary J and his kids on his desk. So I kept thinking like he's still connected to her, right? Like I
he
don't
is. Yeah, they're
obviously they
separated.
separated, right? But he's getting it in. So like Vision, there's no payoff with this. Like
No.
Jessica doesn't do anything past like two panels. It's like I
Yeah,
don't get it. It's like
yeah,
why are you doing
yeah.
this?
She basically became the new MJ, while MJ was the
The new
wife.
Gwen.
Yeah, this issue leading into the next one, this is where it's kind of like Peter Parker's a real
Buckling.
piece of shit, right? Like,
Yeah, he is.
because the real Peter was like, he lets Ben Riley believe that he's Peter Parker. He lets him do that so he can walk away.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
and
talking about
retire.
right there.
Yeah,
It's kind
yeah.
of like,
Okay, I
listen, you
guess.
know what? Like, I get it. He's tired, but he knows he's not the real. Like, he even says it. He goes, no, no. He's like, Ben, I'm the real. He's like, I can't believe I'm Peter Parker. He's like, yeah, you're Peter Parker. So how about you
Would
take the industry?
Coke?
What?
Would you trust a clone Coke of you to give you a file folder of all the passwords and important
Isn't that
information for
crazy?
your $1 million corporation to take over? And the only thing you really have to come to grips with is like you have to be the real version of Coke.
Yeah.
It's not a bad scenario. It's just you're never honest with yourself. And if you can't be
No.
honest with yourself,
Yeah.
you're both doomed.
Yeah.
Because you probably could have went to Coke and be like, all right, here's the deal, bro. Like, I want to go back to Kitty and my kids over
Exactly. Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But like you can be a millionaire and then like I still got Jessica on the hook and like
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man had pussy all over New York.
You
So you
literally
can
just
run
step into my life.
yeah, you can just run through it and live your best life. Like I don't for me personally, it doesn't matter if you're a clone or not.
Yeah.
I just need you to take up the mantle because we both share the same memories. You understand what it is with great power comes great responsibility.
But he doesn't say it, does he?
That makes more sense from a Peter standpoint
Yes.
than from this version standpoint. It's like, nah, you're the dude. Me,
Yeah.
I'm a clone. I'm out of here, bro.
That's exactly it.
Take the mask. It's like,
And he
what?
knows, but he knows he's not. That's the thing.
That's a Tony move.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Because right
Mhm.
after this conversation, he goes to visit Norman Osborn in some like
Yes.
little fucking bar basement. And
Okay.
he's like, you tried to play a trick on me, but I know I'm the real Peter Parker. By the way, I'm also leaving. And then your son's
In case
dead.
you didn't know, now as sloppy as writing that was one of my greatest laughs in the
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
Your son's dead.
Yeah.
And then okay, Norman's like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't blame my son for this shit. I blame you. And proceeds to send one of his launchers at him.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man, which we keep bearing the lead, a trope that we say all the time now, is
Yeah.
each decade Spider-Man's aging. So we're now in the fourth issue. So
Fourth is 90s. So he's
yeah, we'll say like he's in his 40s. I'll give him that, right? So he's a little
Yeah.
aged. He's a little slower. So it takes him a little time to respond to things, and that inner monologue you get throughout all the issues, which is great. So it takes him a little time to get out of the way of the glider, but he does. And instead of getting his comeuppance on Norman, like Norman just grabs his heart and dies of a
Yeah,
heart attack. I laughed again. I was like, "This is how
Is
you."
Norman that old right now? If Spider-Man's 40s, wouldn't he be like in his 60s?
I can't do it by eras because then he wouldn't be alive by
Yeah,
the time we
because
reach the aughts. He should be like a fucking dust.
yeah, no, but this is yeah,
I go
okay.
based on how he's drawn because
Yeah.
they don't give him gray yet, and I think gray would come
No, I'm
in
talking about
late
Norman.
40s, 50s. Oh,
Like Norman
I
would have been
don't-
in
I
like in
don't-
his 60s. He's not gonna be like he looks like he's like 93.
oh yeah, he looks like he's 80.
Like,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
he's
yeah,
like
yeah,
I was like, wait, he's that much? Because you're right. If Parker's in his 40s
yeah.
and Norman's in like pushing 95, that means he's like 50 years older than him.
I can use poetic licensing and saying like him being a supervillain aged him more. Going
All
to
right, yeah,
prison
maybe the
aged him
gas.
more.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
The gas, and then I'm not on the juice anymore. Like
Yeah,
my body's reacting
just
to
fell
it.
apart. Yeah,
But the fact that you use what we called Coke and Dane gave S tier Rogues
Hall of
Gallery
Fame. Yeah,
Norman Osborn in your fourth issue, a heart attack to die. I laughed so hard, and I
yeah,
was like, okay, cool. It's eliminator now. Now it's down to 2. Norman goes out like a punk, which is
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. It is. Yeah, which leads to the fifth issue for 2006, and right at the top, enter Moreland, right, who immediately kills Ben Riley, which is funny. Like that's what I'm talking about. It's like Parker skates. It's like you're Peter Parker, and like within pages, he's dead. Just done.
And like so unceremoniously, right?
Yeah,
Like dude just grabs him by the neck and like sucks his juice, and then you read in the
yeah.
paper like Spider-Man has died today. Peter
And by
Parker
the way,
will
it's
be
Peter
like,
Parker.
damn,
Yeah,
like fuck. And he's in his like safe house off in the country, being like, well that didn't work out for him.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And it's his kids who are like, hey bro, like you have fucking responsibilities. You got to go back. And he's like, I don't really want to. Claire reminds him that he had gone to the city with his mask and had like his own little separate adventure where he ends up saving people and just really trying to hammer home like it's instilled with you. You can't run away from this life. It was chosen. It's on you. It's your destiny. You got to take on the mantle. And like essentially, this is your brother. He's dead.
yep.
So like avenge him. And Peter's like, fine,
Fine. Yeah.
fine. I'll go be
Fine.
Spider Man.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
isn't. He potentially he turns more and more into a dick until I guess the final issue where he makes.
Yes.
He does what he does. All right,
Yeah.
I'm with it.
Yeah. So he goes back to New York, thinking that Moreland's gonna follow him and
Right
track him down. But Moreland ends up going to
to his house. Yeah.
his house where his kids are. And while Moreland's at the kids' house, he comes to New York and immediately runs into Tony Stark, who's like,
Hey, bro,
"Hey,
you
bro."
joining us or not?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, like now it's
You
the
in?
now it's the Civil War angle here. So they have
Right.
the Moreland and Totems angle in that story. From I guess the teens, the 20 teens, Moreland's just killing all the Spider-Mans from all the different universe to get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Civil War obviously is from the aughts, and that's where Superhero Registration Act, where they try and get all the superheroes to sign up for the government.
Right.
And so Tony, yeah, like you said, Tony's like, listen, you gotta sign up. And Peter's like, no.
No. Yeah. Not gonna do it.
No. So then
And
he
then
has
on
like his
cue, yeah, the
yeah,
Avengers come. Yeah, which is Cloak, Dagger, Cap,
Hawkeye.
and
There's one other one. Hulk? No, it's not
Luke.
Hulk.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, there it is, with the beard. Yeah, he looks good with the beard.
It's Mighty Avengers. I
That's
think,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's go with that.
Missing a couple. But again, I don't know if we're selling it. This was actually a really good issue because you got to see Peter kind of fractured, and then
Yeah.
he gets thrown into the fire. He doesn't really deal with the super villain of the moment, which would have been Moreland. He really has to deal with my favorite super villain, which is Tony, right?
Tony,
And that
yeah.
whole Civil War thing. So this handles Battle World better, which was the 80s issue. And then you get but the ending again, everything we talk about how much everything gets squeezed. Nothing really gets a full payoff that's satisfying as a reader. They got to get a lot of shit done in an issue to get to the next issues.
Yeah, like his kids killing Moreland. It's like the dude's like indestructible, but they find it right away how to beat him.
Figured out fast.
Yeah.
Fast.
And then he's impaled on a tree trunk. It's like, okay, well, that's the end of that. So on to the next issue, which is 2019, the last issue. This one was cool. It was I liked how it ended.
Yes, I don't like how they got there
Correct.
because we got to go to space for a reason.
Yeah, the
Because
space
and you
thing-
throw Doom so much, you talk all this
No
Doom
Doom.
to get me to space. No Doom.
Yeah,
So
no dude.
Dag is upset. Dag is mad.
It opens with Peter talking about his dream, about like his origin, how like he could have stopped Uncle Ben from dying, but didn't. So then it starts with that, and it also kind of ends with that too. We'll get to that later, but that's how it opens up. And basically, the world has changed because the Superhero Registration Act basically destroyed the world. So it all starts from, which is interesting because it starts from the first issue with the war, right,
Mm-hmm.
in Vietnam, and then it kind of becomes the Superhero Registration Act, and now it's become Doom runs the world because the heroes couldn't stop fighting each other.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which is cool. But
Which
show
took
me
over.
that because you're going
Yeah.
to give me glimpses of that. You
No.
couldn't give me like 2 pages of just like this guy's fighting this guy. Like no. And the issue's called All My Enemies. So you've made Doom an enemy. You could have put Reed in there somehow, but again, I get it. You're trying to wrap up,
They're
so
trying to. They got a lot of things to pull together.
but you set it up. You open up all these threads. Don't be mad because I want to see them all now.
Well, it's funny in this too because him and Miles go to Miles Morales is introduced in this one, and they take a spaceship to like some moon colony station where they're gonna shut down this. They're gonna plant this basically like EMP bomb to shut down all of Doom's machineries that are helping him run the world. And as they're going up there, I'm like, why is this guy writing Miles like this?
Yeah.
I was like, this is weird. Like, there's a weird choice. But then there's the reveal that he's like, it's Otto doing the Doc Ock doing the
Superior
superior
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man
yeah,
switch. I was like,
which was
that's clever.
this was one of the best
Yeah,
twists in the entire run.
yeah, yeah. Because that run was like underrated. When that happened, I remember I was reading the Spider-Man comics when that happened, and people were upset about it, like because they killed Spider-Man and Doctor Octopus took over his body. And I was like,
Right.
although this is kind of dope. Because I remember sending you panels
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yo,
You were
man,
telling me about it, and it's super interesting. We had never
yeah,
seen anything like this, right?
yeah,
It's just you lost your golden boy, but imagine Joker being embedded into Batman. What kind of things would happen? And they've done stuff like that, right? Like there's a
yeah.
whole Joker Batsuit. It's fun sometimes to see the worst of your favorite person just because they have no control over it. And again, I think that's a lot of people's worst fears.
And then just interesting about that is that he was actually a better Spider-Man. He was more efficient. His personal life fell to shambles,
Right.
but his life as Spider-Man, he like basically took over the city with like spider bots and like crime was just like
And I saw
instantly
you were
being
telling
taken
me
down. Yeah.
that made Doc feel like a better person because he was
Yes.
living the life of a
Yep.
hero. So you could start to see like this reform, but ultimately you're
In
still
his
a
own
monster
way.
for what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's
So
like,
to
okay,
see,
I won't kill these criminals, but I'm still just gonna take everything down, and I'm gonna be in control of everything. He basically became like Big Brother. It was it was funny.
so to circle back in this issue to see it ending up here, and then Spider-Man being now completely seasoned, he's got to be in his 80s at least
Yeah, probably. Yeah, let's say that.
to now realize that Miles isn't Miles, and then try to figure out how to save him was so like that's
No,
the for
80s. He
me the
must be.
touch.
Sorry, he must. My math's not. It must have been 60. He must be in the 60s here. Because if he was 40s in the 90s, then anyways, go ahead.
I get it, but
He's
we're never
old.
going to hammer down
No,
exactly what age he was because if you're in
they make him
your
look old.
20s in the 60s, how old should you be in the 2010s?
Yeah, fair enough.
And it's Spider-Man. But I don't know if I like the way that Spider-Man figured out that it was Ock over Miles because it's super convenient. And it's like one line of dialogue. It's like, oh, you did this left thing, and he don't do
Well, he
this
was.
thing right.
Yeah, he said a whole bunch of examples. You talk about science like old school, and you use these big words, and he called him Parker.
Yeah.
So,
It's like that's enough to be like, oh, you're not you. And it's like,
yeah.
I guess, but use your spider sense, which that's the one trope that they didn't really lean on a lot in
Mm-mm.
this. Like they use it a lot in the beginning, and then they soften it for whatever reason. I don't know if that was a crutch that they didn't want to use. And then the battle doesn't take place on the ship; it takes place in the mind, which I
Yeah,
thought
but
was a
even
cool concept. But I
yeah,
don't know if it was executed to the best abilities.
no, it could have been a little bit more than that, but basically, yeah, which I liked. I liked how they went to the mindscape, Peter's mindscape or whatever, and they kind of banished.
But it's not a fight of like I'm the better hero to your villain. It's love
No,
saves the day.
yes, yeah, yeah. I like the idea of it. I didn't, yeah, because they just bring out
It
like a memory of Aunt May, and it's like, oh, my May, and he just becomes this like, okay, I'm gonna help you save the world now.
it would have worked if you put May in each book.
Yeah,
If you just gave me an emotional connection to May and then like her life in the background, and then when Otto's introduced, you find a way to smush them together. Fine, but you're giving me payoffs for things that I only understand because I've read previous issues of Spider-Man in different runs. So
well,
I understand that this makes sense, but
yeah,
you
and
didn't
there's
do it in this.
no, they didn't. They only showed it as like like at the beginning of the '90s books. It's like, oh yeah, May's dead, and Otto's mad because they were together. That's
And
the backstory you get. It's more like a bit of exposition. It's not really
I
like
saw you at
showing
the
you anything.
funeral kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly,
that's
correct.
not
Yep.
enough for if this is your big climactic ending in the mindscape
Mhm.
because like the entire setting phases to white, and like you get all of these characters in what would be a mind in this white space, and
Hmm.
it's fun, right? Like you get a Sinister Six, and then Spider-Man assembles his team, and you see them start to go at it, and then Spider-Man's like, you know what, I'm not gonna do this, and
Yeah.
then brings forth a May, but then has a conversation with May, but that would be Peter using his mind to say what May would say to him,
Yes. Yep.
which is self gratification. No, like, I don't know if May's actually going to say that to you.
He has a conversation with MJ in his mind too. It's kind of like, I know you good enough that, or well enough that I know exactly how you think type thing. It's kind of a cheat code to say like it's not really you, but it is kind of you because my memory is so sharp of you. It's like, all right, okay.
But is it though?
I don't care. Like
That's fair.
I rolled with it. I was like, all right, a little weird, but whatever.
So he wins that battle. He ultimately gets Otto in Miles's mind to say, "Okay, here's the deal. I will save you,
Yeah.
but go switch that body." Now this should have been a complete finger cross. I would have
Yeah,
loved if
yeah.
this was a I cross my fingers
It's
going
like
back
I'm
to
not
Earth.
giving up this body. You
But
kidding me?
yeah, but we'll talk about the epilogue when we talk about the epilogue. Basically, Spider-Man sacrificed himself
Yeah.
in this ship in order to save, I guess, the greater world and do the he. I think he believes he redeems himself for all the stuff that he did wrong, which happened in the like I guess the last 3 issues. But that has a more emotional connection to me, the reader, than the Aunt May "Love Will Save the Day."
Absolutely.
Boom.